I freaking can't. My mom got me a ring light thing for Christmas, and it has a tripod stand, and I just want to say thank you, Mama Rizzo, for the hookup, because this has now become significantly easier. Like, I can't even tell you. I can go down, I can go up, I can switch colors. Oh. So here is my, I guess you can call it a 2-week update on the tank. So it's planted, there's no fish. A fish tank without fish. But I've learned a lot already, and I realized I definitely, I don't want to call them mistakes, because like I wouldn't have figured it out had I not just kind of jumped in and started somewhere. So I guess I wanted to make a video kind of highlighting that. I'm realizing very quickly that this is a very slow process. I guess I can call it an ecosystem. I'm really trying to create this own ecosystem that's able to take care of itself. I want to see if I can I want to create a symbiotic habitat where everything helps each other. And I feel like it is a lot for a first tank, but I'm really excited and motivated, and I know I'm going to be making a lot of mistakes moving forward into this, but also for that reason I have decided to approach this with like fish last scenario. Tank's about 2.5 weeks old right now. It's looking good, but I did another water test on it yesterday. Maybe, you know what, we'll do another one now just because I'm doing the video. So I'm just going to use this video as an opportunity to go through with you guys what I've been learning so far. I guess little pointers I've learned so far, but you know, this is a really early update, so I'm still very much learning. I am taking this process very slow. I've learned that first thing, if you're trying to have a planted aquarium, it's gonna take time, and you're gonna need to give it time. It needs time to grow. Right now I planted the plants are in there, the filter's running, I have a heater on, it's set to about, I think 74 right now. But I need to give it time to really culture its own good bacteria in the filter. And there's good bacteria that are gonna be beneficial in breaking down the toxic and bad bacteria that do end up accumulating in the tank. So it does take some time. I realized I've realized that I don't have an ammonia test on the test that I have right now, so I need to get a specific test that does, you know, screen my water for that, because that's definitely a instrumental, that's not the word, I can't speak. It's really important because ammonia is toxic to fish at any level in the aquarium, so you really want to make sure you don't have any ammonia in the aquarium before you start adding fish. Luckily, I don't have any fish, so I need to get a little bit on my shit with that because I've been slacking. Honestly, in the last day and a half, it's been happening more so. The Tanis, here it is. The Tanis from the, I hope that's how you pronounce it. I have only seen it written, but I really haven't spoken it before, so, but it's starting, I can definitely see it seeping into the water and starting to stain it. I don't dislike the color of it. I kind of think it's a bit nice and natural. Not necessarily a bad thing, but just an observation. Another thing I've also learned is, I'm based in New York City, so typically we have a lot of like minerals in our water. However, I kind of forgot that my house itself has a filter on all the water here, so it did end up making my water softer, and I think in turn it also made my pH lower. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I just want to see, that's my understanding, that's what's up. A lot of the fish that I was planning on having, I realized probably are not the best for my water parameters. You know, I kind of asked around, I was like, how do I raise it? How do I get my water to a level where I can, you know, make this happen? And pretty much the feedback I received was, you know, stop chasing numbers, work with what you have and go from there, which is why I at this point in time, I'm definitely recommending not beginning off with fish. Like, have the aquarium set up, have it existing for a little bit, let it get established before you start introducing fish, because you really don't know what you're working with until you kind of have it set up and see, you know, what's the water looking like, what's the quality, what's everything. So also on the subject of researching fish, I have realized, so a lot of people end up getting like guppies and mollies and all these other live bearers, and they're really pretty fish. You can get them in like a really wide range of colors. However, they are live bearers, and if you have to keep them with all of their same gender, otherwise it will get out of hand. Like, they reproduce so quickly that like within I think that's every month for mollies. No, for guppies, but I imagine mollies being in a similar place, and a lot, and it keeps going. So based off of the feedback I've gotten, I'm gonna be staying the hell away from those fish, even though, you know, it's cool to see you get to grow your own, you have your own babies in the tank. Yeah, it's cool the first time, and then you realize you have absolutely no space to put these fish, and you have to end up getting second tanks, or it just becomes a massive problem in the tank, and I don't even want to think about what that would do to the fish if they would survive that. But yeah, so I think it'd be cool to do in the future, but just with this tank, I don't have enough resources. I don't have an extra tank to be putting them into when they start getting out of hand. So that's just one of my observations. So something I also really, really want to point out, Facebook groups. Like, I sound like a Massapequa mom. They're gonna be an asset to you. You find people, one, with that have that same interest of you. You can find different groups that focus on saltwater tanks, that are focused for beginners. I have one that I'm with specifically for the brand of the tank that I have, which is Waterbox. I actually really love that group chat because people seem to be very, very motivated to give you really good detailed feedback on, or suggestions, advice. I would definitely recommend joining a group even before you get an aquarium. I noticed a lot of people have joined it and just, you know, ask questions, what good tanks, what things, just, you know, like recommendations and whatnot, so that you can probably end up saving a lot of time, money, stress, death of fish and plants and animals and whatnot. So definitely recommend the Facebook groups. I cannot stress that enough. Like, I've learned so much from there, and you know, you start meeting people too. It's really nice. I'll include the links to the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, just I guess to give people starters. I definitely get the Facebook group thing going. So I'm gonna do a little tour, I guess, of my tank thing that I have so far. We can see the quality of the water, I guess, looking at how the algae's been building up and whatnot. I also think it'd be a cool idea just to do a water test so you see how I can do it, how I do it, and how I rate it. So let's do that now. Okay, so here's my tank. I have this new stand thing that I love. I use some of the nicer boxes I gotten for Christmas, just to keep everything nice and pretty looking. Here is how this is. I realized I had my Anubias actually planted in the ground here initially, and that is a no-no. It'll make the roots rot. So now I have it wedged in here with my driftwood, over here as well. Yeah, so hopefully that takes grip. We can see the driftwood is getting very dirty very quickly. Here I have the Java moss. Sorry, I'm very close. The Java moss on the driftwood. I actually have not had any issues with the driftwood floating. Fortunately, I think I wedged it in pretty well and kind of balanced them upon each other. But that is definitely something to be mindful as you're putting together your aquascape. A lot of people will glue the driftwood to stones just to give it some weight. I don't know if you can tell in this water because my walls are kind of a tannish brown color anyway. But there is a bit of a yellowish tinge that's coming from the driftwood. It's just soaking out. If I'm saying it correctly, it's tannous. But yes, here are my beloved, loved moss balls that I am kind of obsessed with. I can finally tell them apart. So for that reason, they will be getting names soon, and I'm stoked. Here is, what was this one called? I sound silly, but I will just put it in the video. But these are kind of a nice carpeting plant if they ever take off. This one actually looks really good. I'm just blanking right now. But yes, I have this over the back filter from Aqua Clear, as well as this submersible thermometer. I will link them all. The cool guy in the tank, I guess we can call him. The Java Fern I have, but it's also the Thor's Hammer variety. So it has these cool little fringes at the top, and it has a little bit more narrow of a base sleeve. What am I calling it? A leaf. But that's how this is looking. And let's get started with a water test. I have the water tests. We will do one together so you can see what I usually do. It has all of the, what would you call them? Codes. All the whole Likert scales of the chemicals. But like I mentioned before, there is no test for ammonia on this type. So I do need to get a separate one to test for ammonia before I start adding fish in. But let's get going with this. I finally discovered what flashes on my phone, so haha. So you open it, this kind of comes in a packet like this. You rip it off, which I will do in a moment because I have one hand on the camera. All right, so you open it. It looks like this. It's got a little silica gel packet in it. Just toss it all away. I get myself set up before I even dip it or do anything, just so it's ready to go. These things definitely, oh, this is upside down. These things are definitely time sensitive. So, you know, you want to be actively doing this, not just forgetting about it. A tip I will also say is I will usually take a picture of the test as it's developing, when it's fully developed, so I can go back and look at it and document it into my log. All you just do is take this thing, so just dip it real quick, and you lay it flat, okay? And now we are gonna wait and see what happens. Okay, so it's been a minute since we've dipped it, and here is what the test is looking like. Pretty much standard to what I've been testing it with. It's been pretty stable. The hardness is about 25, which is pretty more on the low end. Like I mentioned earlier, the filter on my house, it does take out a lot of the minerals in the water. Low nitrites, low nitrates, which is good. Chlorine, we do not want any chlorine, and like we said, the pH is a little bit on the low side, but that's something I'm probably just gonna have to work with. You know, it's just kind of what I got. That's pretty much how I do a water test, and like I said, it is time sensitive. You don't want to be waiting around for 10 minutes. That will not be an accurate test in the slightest. Hey guys, so if you made it this far in the video, thanks. I appreciate you guys supporting, just, you know, humoring me, babbling about my little fishies that are yet to be. But I hope if, you know, you really are looking to have a fish tank, you might have learned a little bit, giving you some pointers or an explanation as to why certain things didn't work out, because I've really actually learned a lot. In hindsight, I look back at what the fish tanks I used to keep when I was younger, realizing a lot now why so many of them failed. So it really is a learning process. Don't be afraid to fail. You are keeping live animals, so you don't want to be ignorant, but you know, it is a learning process. Do your research. Don't go into this blind. You'll have a much easier time. It's really cool, honestly. I'm learning so much. It's really fun. So thanks, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you soon.